So I do a lot of research trying to figure out exactly how people measure each other up. I know that this changes over time, so I try to stay on top of things. But one thing that I find that stays the same is that people measure other people based off of their shoes. I know it sounds strange, but literally there was a 19-year-old, she's writing in one of those magazines, or maybe she had a blog, and she's saying, you know, I find it really weird that I look at a man's shoes when I first meet him, and I basically measure him up based off of his shoes, the type of shoe. This has been going on for hundreds, if not thousands of years. The reason being is that shoes are one of the clear indicators of what a person does in life, where they come from, what's their background, and it's one of the first things that we do look at. So in today's video, gents, I want to teach you how to use bold shoes to really level up your wardrobe. Gentlemen, I want to let you know this video is brought to you by Ace Marks. And if you're unfamiliar with this shoe brand, you need to get on my email list, because earlier this year, I told everyone about a deal on Kickstarter. I couldn't believe it. They sent me some of these samples. I saw the price that they were at, and I'm like, holy cow, these are $500, $600 shoes at half of that price. So I sent the email out, and 250 people, like within a day, bought those shoes. This company is now up and running. I've spoken with the founder. He's got a really good discount code for you down in the description. You'll be able to use that discount code to go over to their website, get any shoes you want. What I love about Ace Marks, because there's a lot of other shoe companies I talk about, but no one does it like Ace Marks when it comes to bold shoes. We're talking about contrasting leathers. We're talking about bringing in suede, bringing in broguing. It's a great fit. Overall, it's made in Italy. They're buyback programs. You got an old pair of shoes. Doesn't matter what brand, you can send it to them and get an additional $50 off. They end up donating the shoe to a charity, which I think is a pretty good deal. Guys, Ace Marks, great company. Let's get into the content. Tip number one, add flair to what you already wear. So what I love about this point, gentlemen, is that you're not having to go out and buy new shoes. You're simply taking the shoes that you already have, that you already love, and you're taking them up a level. An easy way to do this, change out the laces. Go with something maybe in blue, maybe in red, maybe in orange. Have fun with it. Now that may be too much for some of you guys, but maybe you've got a light colored pair of really nice dress shoes that you've had, they're getting a little bit boring. Well, maybe bring in a darker polish. All of a sudden, the toe, the back, you polish it up, you start to get a little bit of a contrasting look in the leather. This is something that you got to be careful with, but if you play around with it, if you experiment on one part of the shoe, you may be able to get a beautiful look. Now, the third thing I'm going to recommend is maybe changing out the sole, but not just going for a regular black sole. There are colored soles out there. Talk with your cobbler about this, but if you're going to be rebuilding the shoe, why not go with a bright blue or a bright red? Now, it's definitely something that when people look at you, they're not going to see it initially. Maybe they'll see a little bit of the edge around the shoe, but whenever you happen to be walking, people will see the color. It can, all of these things, very small, but ways to work with your existing footwear. Tip number two to upgrade your wardrobe with bold shoes is to bring in contrasting leathers. So contrasting leathers, understand that when you do this, the higher the contrast, the less formal the shoe becomes. So this pair of shoes right here, this is an Oxford. This is relatively a dressy pair of shoes. I could wear this with a suit, and I would have to say the lack of, there's just a little bit of contrast. You can barely see the lighter brown with the darker brown. It's got the cap toe shoe. All of this in general, I could wear this maybe with a navy blue suit, a light colored suit. It would still work well. But if I went with a derby, which again is like it's a blucher, basically it's going to have an open lacing system. But notice how this right here is going to draw a lot more attention to itself. This becomes less formal. Now you can still pull it off with a casual suit, but it also is something that, hey, you may want to go with an odd jacket with a pair of, odd trousers, or you can wear it with a pair of jeans, a really nice button down. And again, all the attention then is going to be on the shoes. Other things that you can do is bring in suede with a smoother top grain leather. So understand that there's a lot of ways to do this. If you go with something that's really high contrast, we're talking like maybe black and white, understand those are going to become much more attention grabbers, and the issue there is they become less interchangeable. Tip number three for upgrading your wardrobe with bold shoes is to bring in the brogues. So let me go ahead and pull up a quick infographic right here, and I want to show you the difference, the four types of brogues that you're going to commonly see out there. Now, there starts off with the quarter brogue. This is just basically on the cap toe. We've got a little bit of broguing here. Now, the semi-brogue, we're going to start to see a medallion on the front. We're going to see a little bit of broguing in and around the lacing system. The wingtip, very clear, very easy to spot because of the wing type of look at the front of the shoe. Then the long wing. This is actually relatively uncommon, and it's going to go all the way in and around the back. Now, to understand broguing and where it fits in levels of formality, the more broguing, the less formal the shoe becomes. And you can also mix this with what I talked about earlier, the contrasting leathers. Broguing in general is something that gives it a three-dimensional, definitely a type of texture type of look. I think is a great thing to bring into your shoes. And understand, you don't have to go for anything bold in the color. You can go for a dark pair of brown or a light pair of brown brogue shoes. Keep the color pretty much the same, but let the broguing actually set it apart from anything in your wardrobe. Tip number 4 for upgrading your wardrobe with bold shoes is to look at the material that's used actually in the shoe construction and go for a variety. Look at different things that could go into it. So leather is the most common, but there's many types of leather. You've got full grain, you've got top grain, you've got suede. All this comes from a different cut of the skin, a different layer. Understand that suede, beautiful to look at. I love texture, draws people to you. You can actually draw attention to the shoe without having to go for a bold color, but texture and suede in general isn't going to be as durable as top grain. But top grain, even though you will have it great for durability, will take a longer time to break in. So there's benefits, there's cons when it comes to each of them. I really like a pair of shoes that is going to bring in a variety. I think that's a great way to instantly draw attention. There are even leather substitutes. Yes, if you go out there, look for vegan shoes. If you go over to Real Men Real Style, we've got even some options there. But really when it comes down to it, guys, you want to look at, okay, how did the material used, did it change up the overall look? And if you can find something that you really like, go for it. Tip number 5 to upgrade your wardrobe with bold shoes is to look at the ornamentation detail of the shoe. So ornamentation, I mean the extra bits that are added, and that could be metalwork, that could be leather work. So let's look at buckles. Monk strap become very popular in the last 5 years, but look at tassel loafers. Again, it's not really using a metal here, it's using an extra bit of leather work. You could look at the bit loafer, using a little bit of metal right there. You can also go in and look at a pair of penny loafers. Again, using extra straps of leather to create a bit of depth, an additional feel, but still very casual, something that you could actually pull off with a casual suit. And I think by bringing these small details in, guys, you can really up your shoe game. Tip number 6, play with shoe styles. So men, we are creatures of habit. We'll fall into, we look at our shoe collection. I've got 5 pairs of very similar shoes. Well, change it up, have some fun. And I'm not saying that you got to make a big jump. So for a lot of guys, maybe going with a laced dress boot is probably going to be maybe too much of a jump. I think that they're great. I'm going to pull up a beautiful pair right here, which I think if you're wearing jeans on the weekend, you're wearing maybe gray flannels, even if you're wearing a pair of, casual slacks, I think that these are chinos. These are going to look great for you. But maybe you want something that's going to help make that transition. Then look at a pair of Chelseas. A pair of Chelseas, I think, can actually be worn with suits in inclement weather and can help you start to basically branch out the styles that you're wearing. And for those of you that are younger, why not bring in a pair of leather or leather sneakers, or bring in something that's a little bit more cutting edge? I'm going to link you down in the description to a few other YouTubes who talk about wearing sneakers. I think if you're young and if you're experimenting and if you've got the confidence, you can pull off almost any type of shoe with any outfit. Tip number 7, kill it with color. Now understand, gentlemen, I left this one to the end because I think color is the first thing we reach for, but really you can overdo it with color. So be careful, treat it like a spice, treat it like salt. You don't want to put too much in your food, it's going to overpower it. Just put enough to basically bring out the taste. The same thing with your shoes. If you go for too bold of a color, they may look great once or maybe once a month that you can wear them. But the thing is, they're not interchangeable. You can't wear these multiple times a week. But if you've got just a discrete small bit of color in it, it's a great way to draw attention, to stand out, at the same time, put it into your interchangeable wardrobe. All right, gentlemen, now it's your turn. I want to hear from you down in the comments. What did I miss? What would you add? What did you think about some of my choices and suggestions? Let me know in the comments, and go check out Ace Marks, guys. Great company, and don't forget about that program. You send them a pair of shoes, they will give you a $50 discount. I've got a discount code for you down there. If you don't want to send them shoes, then use that. But these guys are making beautiful Italian shoes that could be selling for $500 to $600, and they're selling them at half of that price. And what sets them apart from all the other companies I talked about are the bold designs, the use of suede, little things like that, the use of broguing. Everything I talked about, a lot of the pictures, guys, are from this website. So if you like something, you definitely want to go check them out, guys. They're not going to have these prices and deals forever. So that's it, guys. Take care. I'll see you in the next video.